What if someone grabs you from behind? How about being confronted by a big, mean guy? What do you do? We'll find out next on Lakeshore Focus.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.
Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. It is always important to be prepared, but are you ready to handle being attacked? What do you do if you find yourself in a situation where someone grabs you, attempts to punch you, or worse, has a weapon? Maybe we all need a few pointers, great tips to help us survive. We have a guy on this show that not only is going to tell us what to do, he is going to show us. Let's meet Tim Pochron, who is a Hobart police officer and self-defense instructor. Man, how do you get two jobs being both a police officer and a self-defense instructor?
Lucky, I guess.
So are there more self-defense instructors than you?
Yes, there's actually, I think, 4 on our department.
Wow. So do you do that just as part of the job?
Well, we're physical tactics instructors, and it's for police officers. I expanded off of that and did a self-defense course that I assisted with Cherville and kind of piggybacked off that.
Okay. So at some point, I just want the audience to know you're going to show us some stuff, not right this second, but a little bit later in the show. But let's talk about why people might need to know something about self-defense. What are some of the typical situations that somebody might find themselves in that they might need to defend themselves?
Several. One that I can think of at the top of my head would be something like a purse snatching or something like that, where somebody's walking to their car, has a purse in their hand, and somebody from behind tries to grab that purse or grabs them to get that purse.
So all the guys are sitting there going, okay, that doesn't apply to me, so...
No, well, it even come to the point where, say, somebody's walking to a convenience store and there's somebody standing outside waiting for a victim, and they happen to see a male or female walk inside. Rather than letting them walk inside, they tackle them to the ground and try to take a wallet or a purse or a jewelry or something of that nature.
So I think a lot of people think, well, that only happens to people who are at the bars and living in the wrong neighborhood. Is that really true?
Absolutely not. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. I think people that don't think it's going to happen, it usually happens too. And that's why I teach the classes, so you're almost overly prepared if a situation were to present itself, and you'll be able to act on it rather than have to sit and think, which time is of the essence. And if there was a big gap in time that you could possibly get hurt, but I want you to be able to think on your feet and learn the techniques and be able to defend yourself.
I think that's probably pretty typical. Most people think, that is never going to happen to me. I read it in the paper about somebody else, or I hear it from police officers who tell me about these things happening. But you're saying it does happen to the average person.
Absolutely. I've been a policeman for about 11 years now, and every time I go to a call, well, not every time, but a lot of the times, I never thought my house would get burglarized. I never thought I would get something stolen from my vehicle. You don't think those things because those are negative things. You don't want those things to occur. But it does happen, and I've seen it happen from the police end of it, and I've also got to see these victims that were completely clueless and didn't understand that these things actually occur to honest people.
I never thought about that before, but you're probably is that a majority of the people who just like when you show up, they're like, I can't believe this happened to me?
Absolutely. I mean, no one thinks that they're going to be assaulted. Nobody thinks their house is going to get burglarized. It's just something that is not really your first thought. I mean, everybody has their life going, and there's other big important things, and when something negative that comes across, you don't want to think about those things, and it's kind of the nature of the beast.
So you gave 2 examples, somebody approaching you at a car, and another just like you're going into a convenience store or something and someone assaults you. What are some of the other common situations where our audience, our viewers would kind of go, that's good to know. When else does it happen to people?
Well, like I said, those 2 are probably my main focus, just because it's always the unexpected. I don't want to talk about bar fights. I'm not here to try to give you ways of winning a bar fight. That's not what I'm
That's another show, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I'm here for. I'm more for someone that is maybe not be kind of a novice type person where it comes to any type of fighting techniques, and I teach them from the ground up, from proper ways of moving and punching and kicking and screaming so they can get help right away. It's about them to getting out of the situation as quickly as possible.
So how often do you guys have classes, or just kind of in this region? Do all the police departments tend to do self-defense stuff, or?
Well, I can't speak for the other police departments. Hobart does it. We actually just kind of got started, got it off the ground. I would have to say we did 3 classes so far this year. And the first class was phenomenal. We're building. It's like a building block. So the first one did really well. The second one we opened up to medical personnel, and we actually did a third one as well, where 44 people were able to attend, and it just word of mouth. And it was an exciting and exhilarating experience for me, and for everybody else. I mean, people that went through the class, I've explained situations to, and they just big eye opener. And what I really focus on is the word win. I don't want them to ever feel like they're going to be defeated. I want them to realize that whatever situation that presents itself, they're going to be able to go in there and take care of business.
So this is, instead of being the victim and the loser in the situation, trying to come out of this in a better spot.
Absolutely. And you always have to have that mindset. If you're going to have that mindset of failure, that's exactly what's going to happen. But I mean, there's going to be certain situations where you think that there's no way I'm going to be able to get out of this, and you prevail. You think in your head, mind over matter.
So what's your audience look like that comes to these? So when you had 44, I mean, who
various
comes to this?
Various ages, various weights, heights. There's no set person that comes. It's a wide variety.
So the point is, everybody could use this, right?
Absolutely.
Victims. Well, that's an interesting question. Do perpetrators, or people who are attacking people or whatever, do they tend to focus on certain kinds of folks? I mean,
I think some may. I think if there were a situation where somebody saw that there was someone very athletic compared to somebody that's very frail, obviously they'd probably pick the frail person because it'd probably be an easier target. But I think sometimes they don't care who it is. If they see something they want, they'll try to get it in any way that they possibly can.
Because oftentimes we know that sometimes people are high or on drugs or something, so they're probably not thinking real clearly. They just see a victim.
Right. They see a victim, and in their mind they think they see the goal of, I want my next hit, or I want my next high. So they will prey on anybody that they possibly can.
There's a purse, there's a car, there's a set of keys, there's something I can grab my hands onto. How often do you see weapons involved in this? And again, not trying to do a specific statistic, but how often does somebody have a gun in their hand, a knife, a stick, a bat?
Well, I can only speak for our city, but I would say it's very seldom, if maybe 5% of the time. And I think it would be that's more of a domestic violence type situations. When it comes to physical violence or like a robbery or something, that would be more like convenience stores. When it comes to an individual person, not very often.
So that's probably important for people to know. If they probably are approached or attacked, high probability the person probably doesn't have a weapon. Unless they see. I mean, if they saw it, it's obvious.
Yeah, right. I always want them to think there could possibly be a weapon. This because expect the unexpected type thing. I want them to be prepared for whatever situation presents itself. I want them to be able to act quickly and effectively.
And weapons then are a variety of things. I think a lot of times people say, "Oh, a weapon's a gun." But weapon can be a big stick.
Yeah,
right?
It could be a bat, it could be a tire iron, it could be anything that they're going to be able to use to achieve whatever goal or negative goal that they want to.
Did you volunteer for this duty to become a self-defense instructor?
Yes, absolutely. I felt that I've been training a lot with various disciplines, and I wanted to go ahead and push that on to people that I feel that need it. I want people to be able to be confident. I want people to go out there and not have to think twice about if they're going to be able to protect themselves or their family. I mean, I don't teach you how to go out there and be a world-class boxer or an MMA fighter, but I teach you, certain moves that'll keep you safe during the duration of, your life.
But you were in the military, right?
Yes.
So Did they teach you all this stuff in the military?
Oh yeah, there were a few things that I got taught in the military. I mean, I actually expanded off of that and joined some clubs and did some certain, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is probably my forte, so to speak. And I really expanded off of that. And that's more of using somebody's energy and weight against them.
So you have an interest in this, but a person doesn't have to be really great at it to be successful with it.
Absolutely not. And that's what I present with my classes. You can be the most novice fighter in the world and come to this class and be able to learn something. I teach you from, the very beginning. I always think to myself, you have to crawl before you can walk. And I mean, like I said, we go from, how to properly move your body, how to blade yourself, and proper ways of even standing and falling and getting up.
So you're saying that 110-pound, small, thin little person actually has a fairly decent shot at protecting themselves?
Absolutely, guaranteed.
Okay, you don't have to be big and huge and in shape and all those kind of things.
No. The techniques that I teach really pushes that person that, like I said, that a beginner and be able to prevail and be able to protect themselves, absolutely.
What's the most rewarding part of teaching for you?
I think my most rewarding part would be that they get enthusiastic and excited when they actually do the moves. And then I see like a little bit of an eye-opener when they go, oh my God, I can actually do this. This is something that I really never thought I'd be able to do. And one of the things I really like at the end of the class is that we do an assailant type scenario where we have somebody dressed up in a suit, and the techniques that we taught throughout the class, they have to use those in order to prevail against that assailant. And when they get finished with that, they love it. And by the end of class, they come up to me and they tell me, thank you so much. I never thought I'd be able to do this, but I have the utmost confidence that I know that I'll be able to protect myself or my children or my family.
So you can probably see after the training in the eyes of some of your students, this person is confident and gets it, but I bet you also see some that look like they just aren't that confident and they still look pretty scared. Is there anything you say to them to...
Well, I always tell them that they obviously continue to practice. I mean, you're not going to be able to, be an expert in a matter of, 3.5 to 4 hours of a class. I always try to tell them to continue coming to the classes, and if there's other classes out there, go ahead and try to touch base with those people and try to join their classes as well. Never have it stop and let that be, your final. Like, you learn that one move and you finish after that. I want them to be able to pursue more type of training and techniques, and this way they're a little bit more confident. And that's what it's all about. It's all about mind over matter.
So some basic self-defense is just really kind of a 3 or 4 hour experience. I mean, just to get some basics.
Yes, absolutely.
Not like this huge investment of money and time.
Right, no. It's a 3.5 hour to 4 hour class. Like I said, we go from the very, very beginning and we add some more, in-depth techniques. And it comes to the point where at the beginning of class, there's a little bit less confidence compared to the end of the class, and I teach several moves, and I always tell them during the class, during my conclusion, that as long as they learned one, that's all they need.
Well, we'd like to see some of your moves. So we're going to give you a chance to change into something more comfortable so you can show us some of this and let our viewers learn a few techniques, and then we'll come back.
Thank you.
All right. And when you do this, you take and basically take the victim and you're trying to train them?
Yes. What I always start off with is I want to treat everyone as novice. I don't want anyone I want everybody to be able to learn. Even if you were an expert on fighting techniques and skills, then you will obviously would know more. But everybody within this class, there's people that have never been physically harmed. They always want to prepare themselves for that. So I even teach techniques of how to properly stand, how to properly move. And obviously I do a lot of stuff when it comes to striking techniques, from a stand-up position, certain ways to punch and kick and knee and so on.
Okay, so in order to do this, we need a test dummy. I mean, you don't call him a test dummy, right?
No, let's call him more like a brave volunteer.
A brave volunteer. So we have a brave volunteer, I think, that we've got here in the studio with us. So we're going to ask Amanda to join us. And so Amanda's here, and so you're going to just show her some basic things, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is a proper way to stand. I mean, you always want to have your legs a little bit apart, and you want to lower your center of gravity. You always want to have a bend in the knees, just in case if someone were to come at you, you would be able to step back properly, move much quicker. And then another great technique is if somebody were to come up to you and grab you around the neck, or the shoulders or something, and want to pull you down. Well, a good technique would be to go ahead and do that to me. And you can go ahead and move the arm this way. But this is all about separation. I mean, I don't want to teach someone how to full on beat somebody up. That's not what this is all about. This is about how to keep yourself in a safe environment and get yourself out of certain situations. So if somebody were to attack me, push the arm away, and you can go ahead and run. But if somebody were to have a nice grasp on you, go ahead and grab right here, and grab the shirt. Now, this is a good grasp here. So this way, you can push, may not separate, the arm may stay here. You can come up with a nice uppercut, or something where you can lower your hands and push this way, off to the side. Or, right here, and come up with a knee or an elbow strike down to the arm, or come up this way, push the elbow up, and you possibly even hyperextend that arm, separating yourself and getting yourself out of that situation.
So when you're training, is this what you do first? You show those moves, and then you have them do those moves?
Yes, well, it's all about baby steps. Like I said, I start off with proper ways of standing, proper ways of movement, and then I move on to more of advanced stuff if someone's grabbing a hold of you. Like I said, stand-up techniques is very important because you always want to keep a separation from somebody. You don't want someone to have so close where they can grab a hold of you by your head, grab your shirt and pull you down. You always want to keep yourself a bit of a distance.
So then do you move to showing her where she does these things?
Yeah, so what I do is I do the technique. I usually have several instructors there that help me out. So I'll demonstrate the technique. I'll actually demonstrate it without an instructor so I can show you the certain hand movements. And then I have them do it to a partner, and then the instructors will walk around and make sure that they're doing it the proper way.
So most of the first step is this positioning.
Yes.
And also just to respond if somebody's, because that's the most common thing, somebody grabs you, right?
Yes, usually.
Okay. So what's the next step? What's the next most common thing that people do?
Always striking. I always try to put people in a certain scenario. So, if there was a woman that was walking to her car, had a purse in her hand, and someone wanted to grab that purse or something, I actually have techniques where you can use that purse as a possible weapon. So I actually have they're purses, cheaper purses, that I'll distribute between, the women that are doing this class. So they'll get that purse, and I'll actually show them how to strike with that purse, coming across or something like that, and they will demonstrate on me. At the end of the class, we put it all together, and we actually have a person that we call the suspect, so to speak. Full padded suit, and they get to do all those techniques at once. So it's almost like a full-on fight.
Is it more common to be grabbed from the back or the front?
Well, I guess it varies. If I had to guess, I would say more from the back. The reason why is because it's unexpected. If you can't see something coming, it's going to be more easy for that person to do that technique that they want to do to you, or if they want to hurt you. This way you can't defend it. So a technique, if someone were to be behind me, so just like this, you're going to lower your center of gravity going down. You're going to pivot your foot this way, come across with an elbow strike to the abdomen or into the groin area. Separate yourself, take off.
That looks hard to do.
It could be, but you got to put yourself in any type of certain situation and scenario. Obviously, if you're going to have a smaller woman and a bigger man, the lower center of gravity, go ahead and put your arm across. You can come up with a strike to the groin. Hopefully that'll do it.
To a woman?
Well, to a woman, all you have to do is push yourself off, push the arm away.
Okay. I'd like to see Amanda do those to you.
Sure.
So what if you came up and grabbed her?
Okay, if I came up across Amanda, as I just demonstrated, she's going to go ahead and pivot her shoulders this way, lower her center of gravity, using this elbow, groin strike, or even to the abdomen. Same thing would happen if I were to come from the front.
Now her knees aren't bent right now. Aren't they supposed to be bent?
Yeah, go ahead and bend your knees.
Okay.
Okay. You want to make sure you have that pivot with your legs, that separation. Right here, this is where I want, I'm grabbing a hold of you, so you can do that elbow strike where you're coming across, bringing the arm this way, or just go ahead and pushing arm that way. I do these moves over and over again. I have all these instructors walk out and make sure that they're doing it properly. And the more practice you get, the better you'll be at it.
So what if Amanda comes at you? She doesn't look that menacing, but what if she comes at you and she's got a baseball bat in her hand? Okay, she's got a weapon of some sort. I guess that's maybe one of the next common things, right? Somebody's got a weapon, a knife, anything. What's the self-defense to that?
Well, obviously,
Run.
yeah, that would be your best bet. I mean, if someone's coming up with a weapon, you want to try to get out of that situation. And this is what all these moves are about. It's not so you can win the belt of a championship belt or anything. It's to keep yourself safe and get away from that situation. So if someone were to come at you with a bat, the obvious decision would be to get the heck out of there. Run as fast as you can. Go to a home nearby. If you're in a secluded area for some reason, I always get those questions. Why, if I'm in the middle of a field and there's a certain situation that happens, first I would ask, why are you in the middle of this field by yourself without a phone? But communication with our 911 center, it's straight 911, go straight to our dispatch center, and then the officers will be en route.
Okay. So you started talking about people who are frail or people who are older or people who are really small in size, right? They don't have, is there an advantage at all to those people? Or are they pretty much a disadvantage because you're small?
Well, I would hate to say anyone. I don't want anyone to have that mindset that they think there's a disadvantage when they come into a situation. There's techniques that are taught and proven that work. And when I do these classes, I show I've done it for kids. I have younger kids to older adults that are maybe let's go into their 80 years old and higher, where they come to these classes and I show them these techniques, and they wouldn't believe it that they can actually do these things. So somebody that's more smaller, I'm going to show them more moves where they can, like I said, separate themselves from that situation, pushing themselves away. The techniques of devastating with the thumb into the eyes, strikes to the face, to the nose area, striking like this. Stuff like that. All I wanted to do is separation. Like I said, this isn't a wrestling match. This is to get yourself freed from a terrible situation.
If somebody came up behind Amanda and grabbed her hair or a hoodie, they've got control of you by your clothing to some extent.
Could be.
So why don't you demonstrate?
Sure.
So what should she do?
Well, this is the same thing as I taught before.
You grab her hair.
Yeah. So if I were to grab her hair, something like this. Now, if I have a hold of it and say this person is start to run this way, I can try to pull them back. But this is when you're going to go ahead and lower your center of gravity. So she's going to go down to her knees. She's going to pivot over here to her left. She's going to get that elbow strike and come across.
But you're pretty far back from her, so.
Yeah, she could. That absolutely could happen. So if she is this far, that's why she has to come in. So go ahead and turn around all the way that way. Now she's closer. She's already going to be lower to the ground. If I am pulling this hair, believe me, that's going to be a little bit more of reassurance that she's going to do it the proper way, come across, and doing that strike.
Now, what if that person blocks that move? They're smart enough to block her. They see her elbow coming.
Yeah, absolutely, that could happen. We can go all day and show different techniques with certain movements and stuff like that, but she's also going to be moving as quickly as possible too. She's going to know someone has a grasp on her hair. She's going to be move closer. Go ahead and pivot yourself. She's going to do that one strike. Okay, say it is blocked. Doesn't mean she's going to stop and just give up. She's going to continue to strike where I'm not be able to block.
Okay. So I thought that was interesting because so many people wear hoodies too.
Yeah.
That I could see how somebody just grab your clothing. They can actually kind of control you if they're holding on your clothing, right?
Sure.
So I guess if you got a hoodie, if you could just get out of it, right? Is that even possible?
Well, there possibly could be, but you also got to realize if that shirt ends up coming over your face, then they really got to grasp. Like hockey players, that's one of the things they do. They grab that jersey, put it over your head. You can't see anything. It's hard to block something when you can't see. So
that's what that's about. So is there anything? Is that the basics you show? That kind of positioning?
Yes. Like I said, I start from the very beginning with proper ways of standing, proper ways of actually falling to the ground, tucking yourself, holding yourself in a proper stand-up position, ready for striking techniques. And then I also show how to strike, proper punches, kicks, knees, and then I go even to ground stuff. Like say if a fight were to go to the ground, I show some techniques where you can free yourself, actually trap that person and roll them onto their back, and then you're in charge at that point. And then separation, using your legs, because obviously the legs are the longest portion of your body. Pushing, push away with the legs, pushing that person back and go in the opposite direction and get away from that situation.
This has really been interesting. Everything you've shown us how to do, I'm just hoping some of our viewers will pick up some of these things. Your recommendation is probably take a class, right?
Absolutely. I'm actually doing a class at the Hobart Police Department. We go from more of a presentation of how the class is going to help you. We actually have a domestic violence a counselor that comes in, and she discusses, how to free yourself from a situation that you're not happy with, and then we go straight into a gym area, and then we start teaching all the techniques.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate everything you showed us, and maybe we'll do another one of the, maybe I'll come to one of your classes.
That would be great.
All right. We'll see you there.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. We hope you picked up a few tips from Tim. Hey, I like that, Tim's tips. I think most of us think we are generally safe until that moment when we are approached by someone who wants something from us. It's a rare occasion and we think it won't happen to us. All of a sudden, unexpectedly, we are assaulted. Our normal life is interrupted by another person intruding into our space. They approach us in a hostile way. We panic, pull back, and don't know what to do. Our show today should have helped you consider the alternatives. Be prepared, think it through, and visualize what you will do. As soon as I close the show and you start to watch Counterpoint with Gerard McClendon, you may forget about what you heard and slide back into that comfortable place of, it won't happen to me. Consider sharing some of these ideas with friends or family. Recommend they take a quick self-defense class. Maybe they should invite someone like Tim to attend a club meeting, social gathering, a class, or any group who could benefit from a little instruction. You don't need it. You watch the show and know what to do. It's one thing to understand the concepts. It's another to be able to use them. Maybe you should reconsider and take the next step to learn more in a hands-on way. Tim's tips are great in your head, but connecting what's in your brain to needed physical response may save you from serious harm someday in your future. We hope that our show taught you something. If you have thoughts and comments about today's broadcast, send us them to our email address on the screen. You can also access our past shows from the website. If you missed our recent shows on the world of cops or a life of public service, which was a reflection of retiring Indiana Senator Earlene Rogers, you can still view them online. Tell your friends and family that you watch Lakeshore Public Television and it has an impact on your life. Be sure and join us again next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.